Hey everyone, welcome back to Sgcarmart. So this is the Volkswagen ID.Buzz, the modern electric reinterpretation of the classic Type 2 bus. The Type 2 minivan or minibus has become a bit of a cult icon and really gained popularity in the 60s alongside the hippie movement. But the 60s were a long time ago. So for this modern age, we now have this. Let's check it out. Now, if you are thinking of trading in your car for this ID.Buzz, why not try selling with Coates?
Coates helps you sell your car quickly and easily. With the new Coates doorstep, get professional inspection by a certified mechanics at your convenience anywhere on the island. Coates will then auction out your car online to its wide network of dealers to bid on your car. Once bidding is complete, Coates will update you with their best offer price at no obligation. It's that easy.
To find out more, visit coates.com.sg. That's QUOTZ.com.sg. Now, back to the review. We first have to talk about the size of this car. So this is the long wheelbase variant and it's almost 5 meters long, almost 2 meters wide and almost 2 meters tall. So this is really big. But it's still very identifiable, very unique in its design, and some of the design elements may look a little bit familiar. So clearly the lights here are very similar to what you'll find on the other ID models. That's kind of their light signature now. But there are also some very nice touches that are very clear nods to the original Type 2. For example, the two-tone paintwork, I think it looks really nice, and perhaps the most obvious one, the massive VW logo at the front.
The Volkswagen ID.Buzz is priced at $295,900. The single electric motor produces 282 brake horsepower and 560 Nm of torque. The single-speed transmission brings the car from 0 to 100 km/h in 7.9 seconds. The 86 kWh battery has a 487 km drive range with a maximum DC fast charging rate of 200 kW. For more details on the Volkswagen ID.Buzz or any other car, head on to sgcarmart.com to help you make the smart choice on your next car.
Now, if we move on to the side profile of the car, I think the first thing you'll notice are these wheels, right? So they clearly take inspiration from some of the classic designs, but this is clearly a modern reinterpretation and they are also a lot bigger, right? So these are riding on 20-inch wheels. And if you look at the overall profile of the car, it looks like what you expect a bus or ID.Buzz to be, right? It's very boxy, very minivan-like. Now, interesting little detail over here. So you see these three black, I guess, inserts over here. They are not actually functional, but they are actually referencing the cooling slats that you'll find on the classic Type 2. Now, at the rear, design-wise, it looks like a fairly standard MPV or minivan. It's very squarish, very boxy. Obviously, we have a full-length light bar because light bars are very in now. But I think interestingly is the boot. So, we have a 306-litre boot. I don't really know where the 306 litres are, but the interesting thing about the boot is that, as you can see now, it will fit a big luggage. It will obviously not pass the anti-tri-length test with all 7 seats up. But here's the interesting thing, right? So it has something Volkswagen calls a multi-flex board. So if I just throw this out of the way, you can see this little thing over here, and it's basically a folding mechanism, right? So this allows you to put stuff up here, and interestingly there are 2 storage boxes, which I think is a very cool solution, right? So here it's easy to load stuff, you don't have to bend down, but this also gives you extra space to store. I mean, here we have things like your charging cables, your first aid kit, you can put some of your regular stuff here, and then it tucks neatly away. So that's a very nice solution. And of course, if you need a lot more space, 2,469, that's, I mean, if you fold all 5 rear seats down, that's the maximum space you can get. And to flip down the seats is quite easy to do, right? So you just pull the little tab over here and the seats fold completely flat. I mean, just look at all the space you have here. You can climb in. And yeah, you're gonna be easily loading a ton of stuff in this car. It is also a 7-seater, so let's get all 7 seats up and let's check out the interior and see how it's like. Now, this is a 3-row MPV, so let's jump in the 3rd row. But first, entry aperture, honestly, plenty huge. Now, look, the 2nd row is not in the most far back position, but I think it's a very comfortable position, and as you can see, I have a ton of leg room. Honestly, I think very comparable to most cars' 2nd row, right? So as far as comfort is concerned, space is concerned, no qualms at all. This will fit 2 full-size adults easily. In terms of overall amenities and comfort, we have a USB-C port, we have a little bit of storage over here, we have dedicated aircon vents, so you know, you're plenty comfortable, no real complaints at all. Interesting detail, there's a little buzz over here, a little buzz over there, so that's really quite cute. Now, one thing to point out is, you might notice that this seat is very, very upright and this one not so much, and that's because this is essentially your first locking position when you flip up the chair. So if I pull on a tab over here, you can see that, oops, this is your first locking position, but just pull a little bit and you can adjust it a little bit more. All things considered, no complaints about this space at all. Very, very easy to fit two adults. Now let's jump in the second row and check it out. Now here in the second row, again, there's a lot of leg room, and this isn't even the sort of most space, right? You can still adjust the seat back, you can adjust the seat forward, so I guess this is the average or in-between position. And you know, one of the benefits of a long wheelbase, almost 5-meter long car, is that you're gonna have tons and tons of space. So comfort, no issue at all. There are also some nice little amenity features as well. So obviously we have a little tray table over here, also a little, you know, phone pocket over here, plus one more sort of magazine pocket over here. Magazines, who reads magazines anymore, right? Again, plenty of storage down the sides as well. Once more USB-C ports here, USB-C port on the other side, so everyone's going to be very, very happy and comfortable here in the middle. Interesting thing to point out, right? We have quad zone climate control, so you can see here that you have your own dedicated temperature and fan speed controls for either side of the rear cabin. And above me, you can see this gigantic panoramic sunroof. You'll be wondering, there is no cover or what. That's because this has that electrochromatic or magnetic thing where it can just change the opacity with a touch of a button. Now, one little detail I do want to point out is this little pull tab over here. So it might just look like a pull tab because it's just a rubber pull tab. But if you look a little bit closer, you can see actually there's a bit of pattern on it. It's the same pattern you'll find on the side boards, same kind of pattern on the front of the car as well. So that's just a nice, interesting little touch. And if you're wondering how do you open the doors, obviously there's a little handle over here. They are electric doors, or there is also a button here that you can press. So very, very convenient, very, very easy. Now let's go jump in the driver's seat. Now, first thing I like about these IDs, turning on the car. Get in, foot on the brake, car's on, ready to go. Now, this cabin, I think it's familiar in some ways, right? It's very similar to some of your modern Volkswagens, and especially your ID, like your ID.4 and ID.5. So you have a nice screen over here. It's not the most fully featured one. So for example, we don't get navigation, but you get some other stuff. So for example, you get massage seats, so that's nice. And surprisingly, I want to point out the massage goes on for up to 30 minutes, both driver and front passenger. So that's actually quite long for a massage setting. Now, one interesting thing I do want to point out with the climate control system is, like we mentioned, it's a 4-zone climate control. But as you can see here, it's on eco mode, and that's because there's no one in the passenger seat, so the car automatically detects that, you know, you can save some energy over there. So that's why it's in eco, but if someone gets in, it will go back to your 22, which is our default setting. Now, as far as the rest of the cabin, steering wheel, standard Volkswagen steering wheel. I don't particularly like the controls, but that's just me. I guess the interesting thing here is your storage solutions, right? So there are plenty of storage solutions. So there's one here. This is actually your phone charging pad, so that's nice. Just slot your phone there. We have 2 USB-C ports. There's also a little one here for your key. You have another sort of storage here. You have your glove box and drink cup holders. 2 over here. Very nice solution to be able to close them, so you have an open walkway over here. And this is what Volkswagen calls a buzz box. So you have, I guess, your standard storage here. You have another container over here. But the cool thing about this is that if you don't need it, take it out, chuck it away. Now, we also should talk about materials, right? So I like these seats, right? So you have your mix of fabric and, I want to guess, vegan leather, probably vegan leather. I think it's nice. I like the patterning on it. I think it's very nice and comfortable. Other than that, you have some, you know, sort of plasticky bits over here, a little bit of softer touch materials, but generally the cabin is, I mean, it's not the most expensive feeling cabin. This is, again, you know, at its core, in some ways a cargo vehicle, right? I mean, that's its fundamental identity. It's been made into a passenger vehicle. So there are those compromises that you would expect. But otherwise, you know, it's a very nice cabin. It looks very nice. It's pretty well put together. And it's very, very spacious and very, very comfortable. So all things considered, I think, yeah, quite good. Another interesting thing, and this is probably just me, but check out the wipers. They wipe like that, which is interesting to me. I don't know why, maybe it's something to do with where they can locate the mechanism, but I just think it's a nice touch. I have this thing about wipers, that's just me. Now, in terms of equipment, we have Harman Kardon sound system, we have massage seat, so you know, it's quite a nice, comfortable cabin. The other thing to point out, of course, is the panoramic sunroof, right? So to actually open and close it, you just swipe up and down over here, and then it goes from opaque to clear. Not perhaps super obvious now that it's not very bright out, but yes, that works. And you know, lots of glass all around, so visibility is very, very good. Now, that's a look at the car stationary. Now let's get it on the road, drive it, and see how it feels. Now, this is the ID.Buzz Pro long wheelbase. So in terms of performance, we have 210 kilowatts and 560 Newton meters of torque. And this will do 0 to 100 in 7.9 seconds. And I must say, in terms of straight line performance, that's actually really quite brisk, right? So if I just change lane here and put my foot down, for a very big and very heavy car, MPV, minivan, it really picks up really quite well. And you know, this has an 86 kilowatt hour battery. Volkswagen claims about 480 km of range. I think that's maybe a little bit optimistic, but I now have 68% of battery left and 322 km of range, which would come up to a little bit over 400. So I think it's a reasonable amount, right, as far as the numbers are concerned. Now, how does this feel on the road? First and foremost, I must say it feels refined. That's, I think, the first impression that I have of this car, right? You know, you think of something like this, like a commercial base vehicle, so to speak, and it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a big sort of family MPV, and I think that's really nice. It's quite comfortable riding, you know, long wheelbase, quite smooth. The suspension, yes, perhaps not the most sophisticated one, you know, over harsher roads you feel quite a lot of the bumps, but all things considered, I think quite a nice drive. The other thing that surprises me is that once you're out of sort of tight spaces, this actually feels very easy to drive, like surprisingly easy to drive. The steering feels quite nice, you know, it's quite accurate, and you don't really feel the size so much once you're out on the open road. And I think that's maybe partially to do with the driving position. It's very high, there's lots of glass all around you, so visibility is very good. It's a car that feels manageable out on the road. Now, in terms of the overall comfort, I think it's quite good. I will have to say that noise insulation, not fantastic. So we are driving on the highway now, we're doing 60. You know, road noise is well managed, but you know, when you are near a lot of vehicles, like heavy vehicles and motorbikes, you definitely do hear them. And you know, I'm speaking not super loudly, but you can already hear a little bit of echo around. And I mean, it's just, this is fundamentally a big box, right? So that's kind of to be expected. Now, in terms of this ID.Buzz's handling, I think again it will surprise you. So if you know, go a little bit quicker around some corners now, yeah, okay, you can hear the wind noise now. You know, it handles better than I expect something like that too, but all things considered, again, it's not a small car, it's a big family MPV, and I think it's ultimately good enough for what you need to do. Obviously, we also should probably talk about some of the safety systems. You get kind of your standard set of safety systems, right? So you have your lane keep, that's probably quite useful in a car this big, you know, so it pushes you back into the lane if necessary, if you're drifting out. And then you have your usual use of cruise control, your front assist, rear assist, all those kind of things. Again, nothing special here. I think it's fairly standard for what you would get in your modern Volkswagen. So the Volkswagen ID.Buzz, is it a will buy, won't buy, or go try? I think it's a go try. Look, this ID.Buzz is honestly quite tricky to evaluate. So it is very expensive. Do I think that this car has the ability to live up to that price tag? Does it have the capability? Yes, I think it does, but I think it's also impossible to deny that with this ID.Buzz, Volkswagen is trading on a little bit of sentimentality, right? And that's also what you're paying for. You're paying for the identity of this vehicle, the charm of this vehicle. And then we also have to just talk about the size of this thing. So if we go all the way back to the original Type 2, that was a minibus, and that was mini, right? Mini. This is not mini, this is as maxi as you can get. This thing is huge, and that also means that there are going to be some complications as far as being able to use this vehicle, right? So if you stay in a HDB with a narrow car park and low car park, this is going to be a problem. This is not going to fit. So yeah, there's going to be some let's say complications when it comes to parking this car as well. So you know, it's where the original Type 2 had a very utilitarian appeal, right? It's a vehicle for everyone, could do a little bit of everything. This very much isn't. This is a much more niche product. I think it's a very good product, but it's impossible to overlook the fact that it's going to be very niche. It's going to be for a small group of people. Now let's talk about competition. This is an all-electric 7-seater premium MPV, let's call it, right? And in this space now, there's really not that many other things. You're really just looking at the Denza D9. So that is a little bit cheaper depending on obviously which variant you're going to get. And I think with the D9, you are getting more features and performance for your money. It's hard to deny that. But what this ID.Buzz has is charm and personality. And honestly, in today's new car market, I'm not sure any vehicle has more charm and more personality than this. This is bursting with character, and I think that's fundamentally what it's going to be coming down to. Like I mentioned, it's impossible to overlook the fact that Volkswagen is trading in a bit of sentimentality with the original Type 2. But I think it works. You know, this vehicle puts a smile on your face, it makes you feel positive, it makes you feel happy. And it also does all your family MPV things, right? It's spacious, it's practical, it's comfortable, it does all the things you need your family car to do. And so, in many ways, I think it's a worthy spiritual successor to the Type 2. So yes, that's our review of the brand new Volkswagen ID.Buzz. Let us know what you think about this car in the comment section below. And of course, do remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel. And you can hit the notification bell to be alerted of all our upcoming videos. And of course, also check us out on TikTok at Sgcarmart. So, that's all I have. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
你 sim 你，我也是要大便，你为什么啊？
You... What? Yeah, means you can take out the whole seat.